Brady material. What is it? The rule on Brady material evidence stems from a 1963 Supreme Court case, Brady versus Maryland. This Supreme Court case, which we'll link in the description below, establishes a fundamental right. You have a right to evidence that may assist you in your defense of your case. What are the main categories of Brady material, or evidence that could be favorable to your case? They typically fall under exculpatory evidence and impeachment evidence. Exculpatory evidence is evidence that tends to prove your innocence. Impeachment evidence is anything that tends to negate the credibility of a witness in a case that's called by the prosecutor. Impeachment evidence doesn't necessarily prove you innocent, but it attacks the credibility and the strength of witnesses that testify for the government. And since the government has the burden to prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, impeachment evidence, even if it doesn't prove you innocent, can lead to a not guilty finding. What are the different types of things that could fall under Brady material for your case? Let's list a few. Prior witness statements. Prior witness statements that are inconsistent with their trial testimony is impeachment evidence that would fall under Brady. Challenges to identification of a witness. Any evidence that tends to show that identification of you or other witnesses at the scene is not credible is Brady material. Alternate suspects. If the prosecutor or the police that work for them, it doesn't even have to be in the prosecutor's control, if the police have evidence that someone else committed the crime, this is Brady material. A huge category, probably the broadest one, is witness credibility issues. Witness credibility and Brady material can stem from witness cooperation. Did they get a deal for it? Prior criminal history, especially if it has to do with dishonesty. Any known bias against our client. Maybe there's a grudge for some other reason. Bias is admissible to show that someone is not credible when they're testifying against you. There could be scientific evidence that's Brady material. DNA that links to someone else, or DNA evidence that shows that you're not identified. That is Brady material. Last category we'll talk about is evidence that undermines the credibility of an investigation. Oftentimes, police officers don't testify as much as you would think in a case because a lot of what they gather is hearsay. However, they do mold a case. They do decide who gets talked to. So if they have issues in their past, if they have issues of misconduct, that is Brady material that you need to have and your attorney deserves to have in your defense. And that's what you need to know about